Hello, this is my final project for Art 112. I will be discussing the idealized beauty standards of men in ancient Greek culture through the portrayal of young, athletic male sculptures. My inspiration for this topic came from the artwork Discobolus by Myron. Before I get into the analyzation of some sculptures, I would like to talk about ancient Greek culture on beauty. Molly Elizabeth Agnew, a writer for Internal Goddess, states that the ancient Greeks considered that having a beautiful body corresponds to having a beautiful mind. Having a beautiful body also makes you automatically a good person. For instance, villains in television are designed to look ugly by possessing unique body traits in order to be portrayed as an evil person. In ancient Greek, the idealized beauty standards for men were muscular and masculine. Aristophanes, an ancient Greek playwright, described that the ideal traits of males were, quote, a gleaming chest, bright skin, broad shoulders, tiny tongue, strong buttocks, and a little prick. A man's outward appearance, such as having a chiseled face and full lip, meant that they are more powerful. Although the beauty standards back then are similar to the beauty standards today, there is one cultural difference that sets us apart, and that is being nude. In ancient Greek nudity was a sign of moral virtue rather than humiliation. As stated by Desiree Zenowicz, a writer from Gay, nudity in ancient Greek was used symbolically to display heroes from myth, gods, warriors, or war heroes. However, Greeks were not naked all the time. For men, they would get naked when they visit the gymnasium due to it being a place that they could showcase their muscles. Here's an interesting fact. Did you know that the word gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means naked? Due to ancient Greeks' normalization of nudity, Desiree Zenowicz from Gay explains how visitors are more awestruck by the nude statues at the Gay Villa. Continuing on, there are two artworks that I would like to introduce by Polykleitos. The first artwork is Diadumenos. By observing the sculpture, a young athlete is portrayed. A diadem, which is a jeweled crown or headband worn as a symbol of sovereignty, is seen wrapped around his head. As a diadem signifies supreme power or authority, one can assume that the male athlete is indicating victory in an athletic competition. Since Greek nudity symbolizes heroes, a study at University of Cambridge declared how this artwork represented Apollo or the Trojan Paris. For historical context, this sculpture is a copy of the bronze original. When looking at this artwork, the idealized beauty standards of men are portrayed. The man has a muscular human body, is well proportioned in body size, and has a clear defined face. There is symmetry, harmony, and balance throughout the piece. To add, the sculpture is idealistic and realistic. The figure stands in contrapposto with his weight on his right foot, his left knee slightly bent, and his head inclined slightly to the right, self-contained and seemingly to be lost in thought. There are intricate details, especially the carved lines of the human body. In the journal article Polykleitos Among the Philosophers, Canons of Classical Beauty, written by George Boys-Stones, he explains how Polykleitos is specified that each part of the body should be of mean size, and relate the size to every other part with the principle of symmetria, which means due proportion. George Boys-Stones further explained how Polykleitos used a system of ideal mathematical proportions and balance in order to compose his work. For instance, Polykleitos established ratios from Pythagoras for the perfect scale, 1 to 2 octave, 2 to 3 harmonic fifth, and 3 to 4th harmonic fourth. The next artwork I would like to talk about is Polykleitos Dorphorus, or other known as Spear Bearer. This sculpture depicts a young warrior posing for battle. Similar to the first artwork shown, this sculpture is also a marble copy of the bronze original. The Greeks used bronze as their medium for their freestanding sculptures, but since bronze was valuable and could be melted down and reused, marble is used to replicate the original artworks while maintaining the quality that the Greeks achieved. In the original Dorphorus, the man holds an actual spear in his hand. Additionally, the sculpture also uses the technique symmetria, which encompasses a sense of proportion and balance. Another technique incorporated in this piece is contrapposto. The body's weight rests on his right leg, freeing his left leg to bend. The body is able to be in a state of equilibrium through this counterbalancing act. The man's face is devoid of individualistic features which suggest that the artist wanted an idealized version of the perfect Greek male citizen. Tying into ancient Greek's culture of beauty, the young man is nude, which emanates confidence and strength. According to Dr. Beth Harris and Dr. Stephen Zucker from Smart History, this artwork was used as a canon for the ancient Greeks. A canon defines as a rule for a standard of beauty developed for artists to follow. In the book Polykleitos, the Dophorus and Tradition, the author describes how the characteristics of Dophorus is a continuation of trends prevalent in the severe period. However, this artwork remains as one of the most sought-after Greek sculptures. In Chapter 3, Desirability and the Body of the book, a companion to Greek and Roman sexualities, the author states how the phrase beauty is in the eye of the beholder is usually invoked to explain the attractiveness of someone who may not meet a prevailing cultural standard of beauty. For the Romans, Greek culture symbolized a desirable way of life, of leisure, the arts, luxury, and learning. To conclude, I have discussed how ancient Greeks' culture of idealized beauty standards of men are portrayed through young, athletic male sculptures. From having perfect body proportions to a chiseled face, Polykleitos, Diamenos, and Dophorus were sculptures that helped form a basic pattern of ancient Greek sculptures that presented strict, idealized representations of young male athletes in a convincingly naturalistic manner. Thank you for listening, and here is my sources.